This is the start of the second round of the World Cup. We're in the town square of St. Nicholas, where the Tour of Flanders, or the Ronde as they call it here in Belgium, is about to start in a few minutes' time. There's some excellent riders on the start line this morning, but Laurent Jalabert, the World Cup leader, won't be one of them. We have to look to riders like Maurizio Fondries, who's been riding superbly over the last week. In the Grand Prix E3, he was always on the attack, with Johan Museo, a Belgian rider to watch out for today.
And Paul Schoen first speaks with Fondries. This weekend everybody is talking about you, the great favourite, but despite all, you are still the rider to beat, but the best are here from Flanders. Yes, I'm a favourite, but there are others too who are favourites here. It's a race for taking a chance, for having a good team as well, especially if you are looking to win this race. You have ridden well this year, especially by winning a stage in the 3 days of the Panna. Is the form still there? Yes, I've got good form and I'm very content. But I hope I can win, because you know it is very important. And Johan Museo, the 93 winner.
You think you have the form there? I saw you last week in the Grand Prix E3 in the front with Maurizio Fondries, but this is not the Grand Prix E3, is it?
It's not the same, but I hope I have the same legs like then.
And the smiles from Vyacheslav Yekimov, who looked to improve his 48th place last year. And another rider who's never ridden well in this race is Wilfred Nellison, the champion of Belgium.
The Ronde van Vlaanderen is a very special day for a Flemish rider, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a very special day. It's a big race for Belgium riders, and it's a nice race.
And how's your condition? It looks as if it's not too bad coming into the race.
Well, I think my condition is good. I hope I have a good day today. Maybe a super day. I hope so.
And André Schmil, dreaming perhaps of improving his third place in this race 1 year ago to what would be the first ever victory by a Moldavan. Shaking hands with Thierry Marie. Signing in Franco Ballerini, who will be all set to renew his love affair with Paris-Roubaix in a week's time. The big sprinter, but this race very rarely comes down to a big group sprint, Mario Cipollini. And the face of last year's winner, Gianni Bugno, who pulled the big sprint out and beat Johan Museo by inches. Guido Bontempi, he never seems to get older, this man, and he's still a great rider. And Edwig van Hooijdonk, who became known as the boss of the Bosberg, having won this race twice. Rolf Sorensen, who finished third to Van Hooijdonk, in fact, back in 1991. And Claudio Chiappucci, always game for making a good race wherever he rides. Max Sciandri, now riding with a British licence and hoping for victory. And Fabio Baldato, 6th last year. And the race makes its traditional start in the north of Belgium at the marketplace in St. Nicholas, then going due west before turning around the corner of the coast and diving down into the hills of Flanders, where the brutes lie that always by tradition decide this race. There they are, being marked up for you. They finish with hill number 15, the Bosberg, where many a rider has springboarded to victory. So the race ending in Meerbeke, 261 kilometres, 25 teams on the start this morning, a total of 190 starters. And now the chase down has begun of a breakaway which established itself after 55 kilometres today, Tom Steels, Andrea Taffi, Gianvito Martinelli and Fabio Roscioli, but only 2 of those riders are now surviving, Roscioli and Taffi. And a little bit of bad luck coming soon after Castor at around about 128 kilometres covered for both Steels and Martinelli, who both punctured. Flat tyres sent them back into the main field. The lead at one stage today at VOLKEGEMBERG at the feeding station, the 4 of them had over 5 minutes. It is the normal breakaway that goes at the start and very rarely survives to the end. This is Roscioli, and he's now been left by Taffi. It looks as though Taffi is heading up towards the old KWAREMONT at around 150 kilometres done here, and he's not going to take Roscioli with him. There's Taffi out on his own. 28 years of age, turned professional back in 1989, and now heading up to the KWAREMONT climb itself. The steepest gradient there, as you can see, 10% or 1 in 10. And the climb is cobbled, and it's just over 2 kilometres. So the Mapei boys have put a rider out front. The carrot is dangling now in front of the main field, which is still under the control of the Mapei team. It's a little bit sad, but Taffi must have felt strong enough to go alone here. He must have sensed that Roscioli didn't have the strength to go with him here. They're both lone break experts for long breakaways. Here's the cobblestones and the face of Taffi on the climb. And his lead still just short of 3 minutes from the main field. Roscioli is behind him and seeking out the smoother surface on the KWAREMONT. Well, a week of activity with riders training over the hills here all week, and the 3 days of Depana, perhaps a guideline too, surprisingly being won this year by Michele Bartoli, an Italian, and that's why the Italians are favourites now to win the Tour of Flanders once again. Remember last year it was Gianni Bugno who surprisingly beat Johan Museo in a tight sprint, and Andre Schmil third. And there's the gap, 15 seconds to Roscioli and 2 minutes 40 now to the bunch on our camera lens. And the GB boys trying now to reduce the gap, sharing the work down there. Is Museo second in line and sitting comfortably on the wheel of Wilfred Peters. A very strong team as always. So Mapei, although they have a man out front as we go up to the PATERSBERG, they are still chasing down their own man here. And you can even hear the crowds shouting in English at the riders. Such is the fever here. A lot of English people do actually cross the channel and come over to the Tour of Flanders. It gets more and more popular every year. The Belgians love this race more than any other classic. It started back in 1913 and it's kept all of its character. Narrow roads, many of them cobbled. The hills come short, steep, thick and fast towards the last 3 hours of racing. And the weather, surprisingly, is very, very mild indeed. It's going to make the riders feel very much like racing today. Mapei riders just controlling affairs, looking for a chance springboard. Nobody will expect Taffi to survive for much longer. There's Wilfred Peters taking the pack around the corner and accelerating hard with some degree of strength there too, because he's gone away. Eddie van Hooijdonk, looking over his shoulder, earned the reputation as the boss of the Bosberg because of his victories in this race, and he's won it twice. He won it in 1989 and then he won it again in 1991. He also picked up the amateur title just the year before he turned professional. So the gap is still coming down, but not as quick as it was. 2:36, and it won't be too long, I don't think, before they see Roscioli. Wilfred Peters always willing to do good turns at the front here. And the big TVM rider here is Hendrik Redant. I once remember poor old Redant clear in Paris-Roubaix about 3 years ago, I think it was, and he had a flat tyre, and he never know to this day whether indeed he would have won Paris-Roubaix. That would have been his finest moment. And you can see just how narrow these roads are, and you saw the ditch on the right there. Peters and Hoffman have got across now to the two leaders. Tristan Hoffman. And on the right of the road are those ditches that riders often flip into, not voluntarily, I can assure you of that, but because the riders just fill the whole of the road. So Hoffman's got across with Peters to Roscioli, an interesting move because Peters is really a winner on the team of Mappe, and another card they can play now. Peters setting the pace. Roscioli can't be a lot left in his legs now. He's been up in the front group since the 55-kilometre point. So he's been in the lead for more than 100 kilometres. There's Taffy's world ranking since he turned pro back in 1989, his best year 1991. But he's a rider who has only won 7 races in his whole career, and in fact last year his victory came in the Grand Prix Formies. Roscioli, so the leading group is swelling a little bit now as riders are trying to fall behind. We've got Wolfram Peters, who was the rider who started this move. Steve Bauer looking very, very good this year. He's obviously put a lot of work into his winter preparation. He's got up to the lead group now. Peters, Bauer, Hoffman, Roscioli and Guido Bontempi are here. 3 minutes is the field, so they're only 15 seconds behind this group, and 2:45 behind this man at the TAAIENBERG. Climb number 7. A little bit of a bunny hop there by Taffy. No problems with the traction on the dry cobblestones today. Flanders at this time of the year, when the weather is like this, is a delightful place to come to, but of course it's the absolute opposite if the weather is as it normally is, which is usually strong winds and nasty cold rain. This course always favours the aggressor, the little groups who can slip away out of sight very, very quickly. The crowd understand the sport. As you can see, they stand off the roads. They allow the riders that little bit of smooth strip there to race on. And still it's Peters setting the pace. Tristan Hoffman goes through, former champion of Holland. And the motorbikes have got themselves in between, but I think there's only about 15 to 20 seconds because there's the main pack still well in contention and keeping an eye on everybody. But the power for the moment has turned off. Laurent Jalabert, the great winner of Milan-San Remo, chosen not to start today, so if he has any ambitions of picking up the World Cup, then he's going to wait till later in the year. And in fact, Gianluca Bortolami did just that last year, not coming to the fore until the second half of the competition. You can do that unless there is a runaway leader. Well, we've only had one event. Jalabert is the leader, but that could change today. So the riders showing no great urgency here because there is still a long way to go. 261 kilometres in all, and Taffy holding them off. The boss of the Bergs at the moment. Sits there nice and relaxed. These Italian riders have taken over world cycling these last few years. They never liked to come to Belgium, they never liked to go anywhere except race in Italy, but now they've become so dominant, their confidence is boosted sky high. Steve Bauer, Wilfred Peters, Piangonda is up here now. Gianluca Piangonda. Hoffman. And number 97, who's now joined the leaders, is Piangonda. He's looking over a little bit of assistance. We go up towards the VOLKEGEMBERG. 5 riders in this chase. Steve Bauer, who knows the area very, very well indeed, because he lives in the area, is inspired today. A Motorola could do with a good performance. There's a little chase group. It looks as though, in fact, we've got Johan Museu possibly coming across this line here. Well, that will be an important move. That'll give Mappe a real strong hand if he comes up to this group at this stage. They've got clean away from the fields, not on the climbs but on the twists and turns of the flat roads. This is a very strange race today. Riders just going off the front in ones and twos, and these races always the most difficult to read. You never know which brake is going to work. Sean Yates near the front for Motorola, and it's Bortolami, in fact the Mappe rider is Gianluca Bortolami who's trying to come across. So an early appearance for the World Cup holder. And Bortolami, the World Cup holder after that great ride last year, he's still to show his form this season. And the rest of the field staying nice and compact, but the tempo much more one of concern now. It looks as though Vyacheslav Yekimov is sitting at the front there, tapping out the rhythm now. And the Mappe boys discussing the next plan of action halfway down the peloton. They're feeling very content, I would imagine, with now 3 riders up the road. Big Sean Yates, his crash helmet tipped on the back of his head. 3 minutes 24 back to de Klerk. And Taffy must know now that the chase is on, but his gap is not coming down. To the contrary, he's still making progress onto the VARENTBERG. 13% maximum gradient, but you see the height above sea level, a mere 68 meters, about 58-60 yards, so it's hardly very high, but the hills are so steep. The style of Rolf Aldag on the front. Museu. There's a lot of cat and mouse tactics being played at this moment in the field. They know, they can sense there is a move on here and it could work, and they're all trying to assess when is the time to go and join it. TVM's Tristan Hoffmann riding very well this time of the year. So the VARENTBERG, hill number 10 has gone, on to hill number 11, the LEBERG, 11% and up to 43 meters and just less than a kilometer in length. And Hoffmann has a puncture and it's the back wheel. That's really bad luck. A flat tyre for Tristan Hoffmann, who's been riding so well. In fact, has been the main man in this breakaway. Now then, how quick is it going to be? Like all good professionals, let the mechanics do the job and just stand and wait. But you notice he stepped off his bicycle. Now, very often amateur riders tend to stay on their bicycle, and that's not the way to do it. Mappe calling for more strength at the front. And I think, in fact, that is Johan Museu who's trying to orchestrate this move here. And Gianluca Bortolami, it was in fact, who's just gone through. Ciandri, third in line. There's a lot of Italian riders up here again. And if they're not Italian by nationality, they're on Italian teams. There's Bortolami. Very crouched style of the World Cup holder. Michele Bartoli is here too, the man that won the 3 days of Depana, and he's now seen as a favourite today, and he's not going to let his tag down, I don't think. He's up here in this move as well. This is Cipollini. Those long legs of Cipollini that pack so much finishing power, providing them in the right position at the end. 4 kilometres inside now to the climb number 12, the Molenberg. This is really developing now into an interesting move, and there you can see the splits off the front of the peloton. And not a very happy looking Jean-Jacques Yves Martin, I think it was, from Festina, and I'm not sure whether in fact he had a flat tyre. But now they're charging out of this group here. Stefano Zanini has gone, number 25. Zanini got third, remember, in Milan-San Remo. He's up now in the thick of the action towards a crucial stage of the Tour of Flanders. That big field of 190 starters, and looking down from the helicopter now, we're looking at probably 45 riders left in and no more. Taffy on the Molenberg, another little cobbled hill, 18%, nasty climb, very steep but very short, only 400 metres. One the crowd always flocks to here, and on a day like today they're enjoying it. And they're seeing an Italian set the way. He's been at the front now since kilometre 55. We are now deep in the Flanders hills, and there's no edge to this climb either. I'm afraid there's no cheating the cobbles on the Molenberg. We still have the Berendries, the Muur de Grammont and the Bosberg to come. This is the chase group. And Fabio Baldato has made the split now, and they're not very far behind. Number 13 sitting at the back is Bortolami. Such an immensely improved rider since he went across to the MAPE team. It just shows you the strength of riding for a big team when you have the basic talent. Once he got to MAPE and the team around to help him, he's really come through as a winner and not just as a domestique. Bortolami clearly planning on a defensive World Cup this year. He hadn't scored any points until the mid-term last time, but the gap is not significant. There's a lot of riders still in with a chance to reach them yet.
Well, Phil, Andrea Taffy may well still be in the lead, but the race is changing over the top of the Molenberg here, because in fact Johan Museo, his teammate, has joined that group of riders over the top there, and it may well be the turning point of this year's Tour de Flanders. Johan Museo this morning looked very concerned, very nervous and concentrated about this race, the Tour of Flanders, which he said it doesn't matter being a Belgian, any race is a good one to win. At the moment he's trying to win it, he's up in the front chasing his own teammate.
Thank you very much, Paul Sherwin, who knows all about riding the Tour of Flanders, and he's right about Johan Museo, who's edged his way through here and never been far from the action. But MAPE have 4 men up here likely to land the final laurels, but I'm sure they'll all try to earn it from Museo because he is Belgium. Yakimov going through in the white Novell jersey there, and Johan Museo, a rider who knows what it's like to win this race. He did it when he was the champion of Belgium, but equally so, like last year, he knows what it's like to lose it in a photo finish, which he did to Gianni Bugno. Bortolami not overworking in the least here. And Stefano Zanini also sitting near the back, and Zanini is a rider on tremendous form and must be seen as a danger man. There we have Museo now, number 15. Apparently Museo refused to look at the old video coverage of his loss last year until last night, and then he allowed himself a brief glimpse of how he was beaten in the Tour of Flanders a year ago by Bugno, and if that didn't make him angry, well, I don't know what did. Number 2, Fabio Baldato, a rider who is not just a nice person but also a rider who is coming through so well now. There's the second group, and Michele Bartoli is in the second group as well. Looking over his shoulder at the back here is Rolf Aldag, very fast finishing German, had a few successes in Australia in the winter, and digging deep to keep up with the pace is Bartoli. Fifth in Milan-San Remo, number 82. And he's already had 2 wins this season, both coming not too far away on the northern coastline of Belgium at De Panne, right on the coast, an event which rarely sees an Italian winner. He won the stage and the GC, or a stage and the GC. Taffy is now being closed in on. 1 minute 45, and the big challenge still to come, the wall of Gremont. But there is certainly a proliferation of Italian riders up here today. Baldato, always recognising with his ponytail. Robert Miller will tell you he was the first to do that. Laurent Fignon was the second. Fondriest also up here. Number 41, beaten by Laurent Jalabert in his home race, Milan-San Remo. And that will have taken a hard swallow to accept that, because in Milan-San Remo, if you're Italian, you really must win. Well, there is no organisation here. It is a scramble. Just trying to pull everybody into the same group, and really there's no working together. You're taking your chance to reach them on your own power. But what is happening as a result of this, we are developing a breakaway here of absolute stars. There really is nobody who is a surprise. Andre Schmil, third last year for Lotto, he's here as well. And we're heading up now towards the Berendries. Museo, Ballerini, Cipollini, Fidanza, Martinelli, Piangonda, he's probably a surprise. Van Petergem also. Taffy is doing well, and just shows you the quality of his performance to hold off at this sort of a breakaway, chasing him down. If anything that's in his favour is that this breakaway is getting a little bit too big and might become unmanageable. Still a minute 39 for Taffy, and still a diversion for the race, because the Mappe boys in this chase group know the others have to lay the cards on the table first. And somebody's taken a flyer away from here. The Berendries comes after the town of Zottegem, and we continue in the farm roads. A little bit of help required. I think we had Claudio Chipucci on the front of that group there. Great advantage for the lone leader. He's staying out of sight. But still a long way to go. 32 miles, 55 kilometers. And the big challenges to come. The three nasty climbs, the Berendries, the Muur de Gremont, and the Bosberg. The Bosberg itself is dead straight, kicks in the middle. And then you can springboard to victory, the long flat road and the slight uphill finish in Meerbecker. If you ever plan to come over and watch this race, it is possible to watch the start in St. Nicholas and then ride in about an hour to the finish in Meerbecker. Well, of course, with the riders, I'm afraid they're looking at slightly more than an hour. Well, Taffy's still looking good, and there's the 50 kilometres to go banner. Race organisation just staring into the distance and waving everybody out of his way and seeing if he can see anybody. Wait for the whistle. Eddy Merckx is driving the car there, the great Eddy Merckx. Funnily enough, he only managed to win this race once, which was always a big surprise. A man that seemed to win all of the classics more than once. Milan-San Remo 7 times, Liège-Bastogne-Liège 5 times, but indeed this big tour he only won once, but he won it well. Well, Taffy has this riding style where he keeps his hands on the centre of the bars and very relaxed indeed. There's no pressure at all on those arms, hooked onto the stem. And he's tapping out a very fast rhythm indeed. We're up around 40k an hour consistently here. 25 miles an hour. He'll be constantly given time checks. He'll know his lead is faltering, but he will also know that he has the man he would like to see in this chase group, Johan Museeuw and Gianluca Bortolami, not far behind. I wonder if he knows Fondriest is here though. That Chandri requires some attention. Hand gun up for the MG Technogym rider, who has a British racing licence this year. He was born in Derby in the north of England. Oh, thank you, Slava. Chiappucci. Upright position of the big sprinter. Cipollini. And Vyacheslav Yekimov at the front, showing a sense of humour a few moments ago to our camera. He's planning his first assault on Paris-Roubaix next week. He's never ridden that great race. And Yekimov, who turned pro back in 1990 on Peter Post's Panasonic team, where he signed for a reported $500,000. And that, to a Russian, I would think was a very big pile of money. Anyway, he's worth every penny. And Cipollini having a little word with our cameraman there, not too happy, slowing him down on his line into the corner. Good piece of riding by the big sprinter today, to be right up here and not afraid to do his turn at the front. Well, he gets a lot of criticism. Cipollini rides half a year and the rest of it, but you know, he is a very talented rider indeed. This is a flat stretch of cobblestones for 1,600 metres, although Chippo seems to have found the flat bit. That's the advantage of being at the front. You can see where you're going, it just takes the strength to get there. And there we have Taffy, and now maybe we'll get some idea if they're coming back to him. Sleepy little farmlands of Flanders, and still a long empty road, but not that long now really. They will also have spotted our helicopter hovering here, so they will know that they're pulling back Taffy at a reasonable rate. About 14 riders in this chase down. And that might be on the front page of Het Laatste Nieuws, the Belgian newspaper tomorrow. Of Gianluca Bortolami, Yekimov flashing through, André Schmil, Claudio Chiappucci. Nice move for Claudio to be in here. Very surprising rider, Claudio Chiappucci. One feels that this wouldn't suit him, the Tour of Flanders. He's a climber, a stage race rider, and yet he keeps on making these moves. And there's a problem on the right of the road. I think it's Bortolami looking to get away with that. Just about sorting it out on the cobbles. Had it been wet, I think he would have been tasting a little bit of dirt, but he was lucky. What a marvellous day for a bike race, especially the Tour of Flanders. Began back in 1913 when it was run by Paul de Man. In fact, the Belgian riders winning this race for many, many years before it finally succumbed. Apart from the victory of Henri Souter in 1923, the Belgians won right through into modern times. The first Italian to pick it up was Fiorenzo Magni, and he did it in 1949. Yekimov seems to be the only Novell rider who's made the selection today, and he would like the camera bike out of the way because he's now finding his rhythm. They do get in the way, I have to say that, especially on these narrow roads. They're only 50 seconds away now, and they're calling this the group from Cipollini, who has decided to move back just a notch or two into the pack. Yekimov. Looking very sharp indeed this year. And that's bad luck, but that looks like a puncture to the Gavis rider, and that will be Zanini, who had a great Milan-San Remo with 3rd place. And it's taking a while. Well, I think they said Zanoli on the screen very briefly there, but they picked the wrong one, because that is Zanini, who's had a flat tyre. Good change, and he might well get back into the action here. And a stroke of luck, I think, that a teammate arrived at the same time. It looks as though it's Guido Bontempi. Well, there's a powerhouse who'll take him back up very, very quickly indeed. Look at the speed now of Bontempi, as Zanini chose the right time to puncture for sure. Although there's a lot of work to be done to rejoin. There's the main group. Still in hot pursuit of Andrea Taffi. A group, I think, that will make some more decisions when we get on to the Berendries and finally on to the last 2 climbs of the day. Yekimov keeping the pressure on. Seven victories under his belt last year, and now there's an attack going up on the outside. Or is it just a general acceleration to try and reduce the size of this chase group? It looks like the Mappe boys have turned the screw a little bit tight there, but I think it's settled for a general acceleration, because Yekimov has jumped onto 3rd wheel. It was Fabio Baldato, in fact. And there he is, the MG rider. 33 seconds now, it's not going to be much longer. Museo watching every move. And that's Franco Ballerini we just saw there. Franco Ballerini's up here as well. Well, clearly the strong rider is very unhappy with the size of the makeup of this group now, and they want to thin it out just a little bit. The good time to attack is just as you get Taffi in your sights. Everybody's expecting a ride up to the breakaway. If somebody goes just before, they can often slip clear. 44 kilometres left. Ballerini. And it looks as though we may have a little gap going here. And Ballerini quite content to keep the pressure on all the time. We switch back up to Taffi, whose lead is inside 30 seconds. Oh, a lot more than inside 30 seconds. The 2 riders are reaching him. The collapse came very quickly. There are 3 riders now reaching Ballerini. They're reaching Taffi rather. And Yekimov is also up here, so too is Andrei Schmil, Baldato, Ballerini. I don't think Taffi's going to have the legs to get on board. So at the feed at Zottegem, Taffi is caught after 170 kilometres of freedom. And in fact, we are hearing that Johan Museo has had a flat tyre, and it must have happened just before coming into the feed here. Nobody seems to be attacking, and this is Museo. He's coming into Zottegem. He must be about 10 or 15 seconds off the tail of the cars there. Well, there's no sign of real panic. Luckily for Museo, there's still a reasonable race to be run. There he is. He looks very, very determined today, I must say that for him. And the hooting, no doubt, is of his team car just behind. So he's going to pick his way through and rejoin the breakaway. Baldato is the rider, apparently, who is forcing the pace at the front of the breakaway. Fabio Baldato, there's the Mappe team car. No drink required. I think that's Taffy who's coming right through the breakaway. Yes, it is. So Taffy is slipping right away from the whole scene now. I wonder if Johan Museu had a chance to say anything to him as he went by. Well, the rider racing back is Guido Bontempi of the Gavis team, and they're almost onto the tail now. They've cleared out all of the following vehicles, which won't help. But there shouldn't be too much danger here either. They'll both get back to that lead group. Museu senses it, digs deep on his reserves, because very shortly now we're going to start the last of the 3 climbs to come. And Museu will not welcome too much of a big effort just yet. And you get some idea from this picture now just how fast they're going through the lanes here. Army at the front. Picked up Museu and he's taking him through the field. Keeping a close eye on him as well. Ten riders left in this lead group. And they're all more or less racing for a shot at the front, but they're not working together. Oh, there's a few more. In fact, there's 6 of them there. 5 of them. 15 riders then in this lead group. Andre Schmil is on the head of the peloton of this little breakaway. 3rd last year. And went on to lead the World Cup for a while. Indeed, went on to win Paris-Roubaix in grand style. This is Baldato, the rider responsible for pushing the pace since the feed in Zottegem. Baldato is one of the big improved riders. 4 wins already this season for Fabio. Tour of the Mediterranean, a stage in that, a stage in the Tour of Valencia, a stage in Paris-Nice, and a stage in the 3 days of the Pana. 45 kilometers left to go. Gaining in confidence all the time, Baldato. A little flashback as to how he made his move. A little bit of a shock for our motorcyclist there too, I think, as he came up on the inside. But just look at the gap with the acceleration he's put in here over the rest, and now he's gone. So he's made the first serious attack from this league group. Turned pro in 1993, had 5 wins in his first pro year, and he's got himself 14 seconds on Museu's group now. And 3 of those 5 wins in his first season all came in the Tour of Italy. I suppose he will list his best result as runner-up last year in the Paris-Roubaix. But he had a very, very good early season because he was 6th in this event, and he was also 6th in Milan-San Remo last year. So he's found his early season form again by the look of it, and he's riding now with the confidence you get from having success. Bortolami, Bortoli, and number 6 here is Chandri. Cipollini is there as well. I didn't think he was looking quite so well as he was a little bit earlier on. Andre Schmil in the Lotto colours. Fondriest is here still. We haven't seen anything of Fondriest. He's been hiding in this leading group and not doing a lot at all. Franco Ballerini moving up sharply up on the inside there. Claudio Chipucci throw, and there's Ballerini gone straight through. And a quick reaction to Chandri grabbing the wheel there, I think of Bortoli. So Baldato has caused a serious reaction here, and clearly the riders fancy the chances of Fabio Baldato. And Ballerini, having made the move, would like the others to come through and set the pace. Not a bad idea, eh? Andre Schmil. Ballerini slips immediately to the back. Well, I often think it's a good idea on Smil's on Lotto because the team never seems to have anybody else in the leading moves. That's Shandy right up against our camera motorbike. And there's Ballerini putting in a second strong attack. Ballerini placed in so many classic races but rarely a winner of them. But he goes through so strongly that when the riders get his back wheel, he insists they come through and help him, and frankly they can't because they've just made the effort to catch him. It might make more sense to just try and ease away a little bit. Because again they've marked Ballerini, and this is Baldato now. Looking very good indeed. Just to our left of our picture there, it's motorbikes at the moment, but just amongst those motorbikes I think is Ballerini. There they are. So Baldato hasn't gone thanks to the two very strong attacks of Franco Ballerini. Riders in this group, and Johan Museu has made his way up here as well. Well, sooner or later something's going to go here because there's been attack after attack, a regrouping, and then they've gone again very hard indeed. If they can reach Fabio Baldato, this might be the combination to succeed. 7% downhill. Museu's the rider who's just come onto the back of this group. Not overdoing his work rate, Museu. It's almost as if he's waiting for a moment because he just did enough to get back after that puncture, used his team in the end, and now, well, having said that, he's gone to the front. Another tricky little descent if it were to be wet today. Always disconcerting on the cobbles. Yeah, and that was Fondriest also leading the group back up there. Aldag, Tristan Hoffman. And it seems a general regrouping on the horizon at the moment, except for Baldato, and the chasers are still just ahead. 35 kilometres to go, 225.5 kilometres under their wheels today so far. So just over 15 miles to ride. Average speed today is still in excess of 25 miles an hour. That's a very rapid race. It was won last year with a whisker inside 25 miles an hour. It's 24 3/4 actually. Well, Baldato either feels very strong or he's made a big mistake here because he's gone early. 45th in the World Cup, in the world ranking points rather. Very strong rider. A specialist at the single days. He's not a stage race rider yet, but he's got chance. It's only his third season as a pro. He's certainly one of the new wave of top riders to come through from Italy. And number 95 we caught a glimpse of at the back there was Giovanni Lombardi of Italy. Rides on the Polti team. He won the points championship in the Olympic Games in Barcelona, and the year before that I remember him being disqualified when he was an amateur in a town called Foster up in Australia, where he was disqualified for an erratic sprint. Wasn't too happy about that decision. He packed in next day, but he's gone on to be a good pro. Smil sitting at the back of the group. Yakimov. Well, when you look at those 4 riders down there and you think about the careers they've had, what a lot of big races they've won between them. Michele Bartoli, Franco Ballerini, they're coming back too. So 2 more riders on form have clawed their way back. Bartoli, who, as I said earlier, won the 3 days of De Panne, also finished 5th in Milan San Remo, is now back in the thick of the action again, right at the head of affairs with the main group here. Just Baldato out front. You know, when you turn in just 1 or 2 good performances, even on a bad day you can do a good ride because your morale is so high. And the gap is opening. Looks like Rolf Aldag in the second wheel there, trying to do something about it, but the gap is certainly here now. Bartoli, Ballerini, Schmil, Moldovan, just trying to look there to see if Museo said anything to Ballerini, but I don't think there was any words exchanged. The 2 Nappe boys making the pace though. Berendries, Klein number 13%, average gradient of 7% and just under a kilometre in height. And our motorbike is doing Bartoli a great favour here, and he's been told to leave. Now let's go back up the climb to the Berendries, and this is Fabio Baldato. Look at the lovely crowd on this climb today. Spring sunshine. And they're going to be picking out Johan Museo because that's the rider that they would love to see win this race. You can bet the shouts are for Johan, a very popular man indeed. Father runs a garage business. And the whole Museo family will be out, every one of them, somewhat on this course, watching him. And there's going to be an attack, and it's gone. That's Museo. And it looks as though all the shouting was rather too much for him. He's been inspired to put something special into this climb. So Johan Museo, and he's shouting back now. He's seen the reaction has come. And it's Andre Schmil who went after Museo, because I would say that Andre is going to mark Johan. They were breakaway companions a year ago. And it seems the man to mark. After all, he's racing on home soil. Well, Andre isn't living too far away. He lives, in fact, in Roubaix. Well, Baldato is doing rather well to survive all these counter moves from the back. He's absolutely flying. He's very, very confident. I think this is a rider that we're going to grow to like over the next few years. He is a superbly attacking rider. He looks good on a bike. 14 seconds, and Museo is letting his legs and his mouth do the work now. He wants more assistance. Oh, and the big man's come back as well to give him a hand. Franco Ballerini. Well, they are moving right now. There's Michele Bartoli. Schmil in the red. And they can see poor old Fabio Baldato to the left. That's always a great feeling when you can see your quarry. We've still got the Mur de Grammont, and I think we're going to see a rip snorter up the Mur de Grammont today. That is going to be something special. Saturation TV coverage in Belgium, so everybody will know what's coming towards them on the Mur de Grammont, and everybody will pitch out of the cafes and watch them go past the door. There's Baldato through and over the top of this little climb. It surely now can only be a matter of time before this little group reaches them. It's a question of how many. Kierpucci's leading that second group along nicely and seems to be making good progress. The man who missed this move was Yekimov, who seemed to be doing everything right and has suddenly not made the split. Now the plan is for Museo to win this race, then watch out for Ballerini doing the chase down work in the group. That will give us the clue. 30 kilometers to go, inside 20 miles to the finish. Nobody shirking the turn here. Ballerini though is now at the back. Schmill is at the front, but the line is working anyway. And Yekimov has fallen into that group at 30 seconds with Fondries. The Zanini is there again after his flat. And Jesper Skibby, the Danish rider, is up into that group. He's done a good ride. I hadn't seen Jesper before. So Jesper Skibby replacing his TVM teammate Tristan Hoffmann in the thick of the action. Well, I think that's Museo gone again at the front, and this time he's shed the wheel of Schmill, because Schmill has not reacted. Ballerini won't, and you can see Johan going up over the hill there. Chandri hasn't picked it up, and in fact Ballerini reacting to Schmill, who realised who attacked and missed it. That was a good move by Johan Museo, because he spotted Schmill had gone to the back of the line. He might rate Schmill as his main danger. And now Andre Schmill is going to have to repair the damage. He lost for a moment his attention of the man he was marking. Well, these counterattacks are going to hurt the leader Baldato for sure. Heading towards Gramont. The wall awaits. That's Museu. Just around the corner is Baldato. Back down with the camera bikes. Well, Schmill has made and failed to bridge the gap there. He made a huge mistake, and now he's going to have to rethink the situation. Chandri leading, Ballerini won't help, and Bartoli here as well. So it's being left to Andre Schmill now. He's sensed that he's made a mistake. The man he wanted to be with has gone, and he didn't go with him. And Bartoli also, who came up to this group, I think is feeling a little bit tired. Unless he's waiting to try and use the Mur de Gramont as a springboard. And all of the cheers for Johan Museu as they begin to line up now for the climb of the Mur de Gramont, and Johan Museu is reaching Baldato. This is an inspired piece of riding by the Belgian. He has watched and waited and made sure he was always in a position. Whenever the moves went, he was always adding himself as a counterpart, but he didn't do any work, and now he's put everything into one attack as he picks up Fabio Baldato. And just in time too, although Baldato won't think so, because they're going to face the cobble climb of the Mur de Gramont. This is the chase. That's Jesper Skibby for TVM. In fact, this is a whole regrouping here. Jesper Skibby has got up because Schmill is still in this group, so Skibby has come across. New blood to the chase. Here's Claudio Kierpucci, so this group has got up to them. And in fact, when you would expect Kierpucci to feel good, he's been caught a little out of breath. Bartoli slipped back. Chandri setting the pace. Schmill going to have another little go here. He must be absolutely fuming he made that mistake. But this time I think Andre Schmill has done it. He's got clear. That puts 3 riders clear on the road now. Baldato, Museu, and now Andre Schmill. What a superb race this has been from this leading group of some 18 to 20 riders. They have given no quarter today. There's rarely been a lucky winner of the Tour of Flanders, and there certainly won't be a lucky winner today. They're going to have to work all of the way to the line. So Smil has managed to get away. Now, has he the strength to get up to Museu? Rather strangely, our camera's staying with a Russian rider rather than going up to a Belgian rider in the lead. There's the time gaps, 18 seconds to Smil, half a minute to Ballerini's group. But Ballerini won't be chasing, you can bet on that. Well, 190 starters a day must be spread-eagled over many, many minutes. The pace at the front has been absolutely terrific. There's Yekimov, Skibby, a general reforming here of the third group on the road. Fondries, under 25 kilometres to go banner. They're all taking a drink, and somebody's trying to take a flyer. Fondries strangely quiet today, although he's read the move right to a degree. He hasn't really put in much of a spurt himself though, so one has got the feeling he's always been on the defensive today, Maurizio. He knows Belgium pretty well. He used to live around here when he was riding for Peter Post's team. He never really flowered though till he went back home to Italy, which is often the case with the Italians. The Italians actually love their own country. Bartoli, Claudio Chiappucci, number 13 is Bortolami, still right up here. And if he keeps this up, he's going to start scoring World Cup points earlier this year. Here we are, the MG Technogym versus the Mappe GB. Skibby, he was very, very happy when TVM re-signed him last year. He was safe for another season cycling, and he's now done a good ride. Zanini also moving up there. It looks like Skibby's trying to get some action back into this chase group. Bortolami grabbing the wheel, 25 seconds, that's all it is back to this group. And Smil still in between. There's the devil, El Diablo. Very, very popular rider indeed. And Claudio giving a little bit of pain now as Skibby comes back up towards him. Bortolami gritting his teeth as well on Skibby's wheel. Skibby is a very great person. He's a real clown when you meet him privately, always joking, but he's a lot of talent too. Had his stage win in the Tour de France a couple of years back, and that came after a very bad crash in Tirreno Adriatico when they really thought his life was in danger. But happily he's back racing as well, if not better than ever. And Skibby up in the main chase group here, and if he keeps this up he's going to get a high finish when we get down to Meerbeke. Baldato still not afraid to do his turn at the front, despite the fact that he was the one that started the move. Johan Museu must be thinking that this has got to be the move now. There's Bartoli. Well, Smil is closing in, and the others are certainly not losing ground. Bortolami's group here, 26 seconds. And Bortolami is the rider at the back of the riders here. He's not going to help with the chase down. I bet he would wish though that it would all come together again, because he would like to be in with a chance, I think. The World Cup holder, this is round number 2 of the new World Cup, 1995. Inside 20 kilometres to go. And Bortolami is going to watch everybody in this group. There's Bartoli. And and they're still working very, very well together, these two. Tempo high, the long legs of Baldato. Johan Museeuw knows all about success and defeat in this race. He's had 2 seconds and a win. Baldato has never made a top 3 finish, but he certainly had a good ride here last year. 6th. Short, sharp turns being done by the leaders to not lose the momentum now. And they're very strong turns too by Baldato. You can see the head dip then of Johan Museeuw as he grits his teeth to grab the back wheel. Quite clearly aware that Schmil is coming back, up to 9th in the World Cup world ranking points last year after his fine World Cup run. Well, the Muur de Grammont and the Bosberg are not separated by much on the road. They come in quick succession, in fact. I think, in fact, Museeuw shouted a word of encouragement then to Baldato. Sounded like Museeuw's voice. And Museeuw obviously aware that Schmil is coming up, and it's a rider he won't want to join him. He'll be a little bit afraid of Andre Schmil. He'll feel very proud of the way he slipped him, but he won't want him to come back. And this select group here of Bortolami and Kipucci, Skibby and Bartoli. I can just imagine Johan's family, and he would like Fabio to do some more work now. I can just imagine Johan Museeuw's family, because they keep a television set in the car so they can follow the race as well as watch it in the flesh. The rounded shoulders of Johan Museeuw as he pushes the pace through. The relaxed style of Fabio Baldato. Neither rider giving away here just how they're feeling inside. They both look so good on a bicycle, and this man is pile driving his way up towards them. Andre Schmil is not out of this race yet. Indeed, he's not. Now heading up to the wall of Grammont, Muur de Gerardsbergen. Now, one of them, I would think, we'll try the other one out here just to see how strong he is. Museeuw looks as though he's going to make the running up the front. It'll turn to cobblestones very shortly. Baldato concentrating a bit further down. We've got the lone figure of Andre Schmil. Well, I hope our camera doesn't go too far away from these two for a little while, because I think one of them will try the other one. This is a very steep little climb, this. In fact, they don't allow the vehicles to come up this way anymore. They send them round a different direction because they can't afford the vehicles to stall on the climb. They've blocked the whole race. 500 metres of cobbles and we're on them. And just look at the tempo being delivered by Johan Museeuw. Baldato just happy to follow at the moment, taking a tight grip on those handlebars. Everybody knows, you see, that Schmil is chasing up behind. They're watching to see how far behind he is. But Museeuw is just keeping the pressure on, making every pedal stroke count. And there's the top. They've flown up this climb quite literally, but no attack. Museeuw just kept the pressure on, and Baldato doesn't seem to have had any problem hanging on. A sly glance, and there's Schmil. Schmil's had a great climb up here. This has been a remarkable chase back by Andre Schmil, because these two have been fully expended on the rivet, and if they're going to keep that up, then I'm surprised Schmil has got this close to them. And look at this now. In fact, there was a kick here by Museeuw, and Baldato has lost a little bit. Museeuw's just had a look back to see what the damage is. He stayed in a low gear. Now he's slipped it up a sprocket, and he's gone straight through and away. And just look at the speed of Johan Museo as he's gone on the wall of Gremont. This cobbled little climb. And Baldato suddenly cracked completely. Chiappucci, this is the next group behind Schmil. Bartoli. Bortolami is on the right. And Jesper Skibby's on the left there, at the back. Well, Schmil looked as though he was almost on there. And then all of a sudden, Johan Museo had gone. Well, Museo is gone, leaving himself still the Bosberg to come. Now, if Baldato didn't lose too much, he might get back. Let's have a look. Johan Museo is now free. He used to be known as a sprinter. Now he's becoming a stayer. Sixth in the world at the end of the start of 1995. And Museo has it all to do now. He's got no one to work with. Baldato, he must have sensed, didn't have it on the climb, because that acceleration at the top was superb. The sort of acceleration you would have seen the great Eddie Merckx do in his heyday. Still no real sign of spring on the trees, but the sun is beautiful. This is Baldato, who is now a little bit confused here. He's not sure where Schmil is, and he certainly knows that Johan Museo has hurt him on that climb, and I don't think he can come back. But there's still that small climb of the Bosberg to come. And Schmil is going to get Baldato. If they get together, and maybe Baldato has eased back to allow Schmil to come up, if they get together, they might well get back to Museo, and the Belgian could be robbed of his greatest moment. This is what a Tour of Flanders should be like, a massive pursuit across the Flanders countryside with the riders living on their own resources. Good roads for the moment. Schmil is now coming up to Baldato. Something like 248 kilometers done, about 13 kilometers or so still to race. And these two are almost together. Well, you get some idea just how quick Baldato is going, because Schmil has really made a big job of clawing his way back. But he's there. So the chasers are together, and Schmil happy to go straight through. Baldato, I wonder what he's thinking now. He had his chance and he couldn't hold it. And this is the man who did the damage, Johan Museo. And there's how he did it too. This is the attack that came. Tearing his bike to shreds, he realised he had a small gap. Look at the face of Baldato. He grits his teeth, nothing like as fluid in his movement there as he reacts to the attack of Johan Museo. Museo rode up those cobblestones if they weren't there. Well, Johan Museo will be 30 years of age at the end of this year, and he's got a really good career behind him already. But to win the Tour of Flanders for a second time, that surely will be something special. And these, I think, are the only two who can stop him. This is the Bosberg he's just gone on to. 1,300 metres long. 12% is the maximum part of the gradient. Well, the cheers were for Hendrik Redant on the road there, but the cheers here are certainly for a Belgian rider now. Johan Museo. The crowd watching the lone figure. This is the way every Belgian wants to win this great classic race. It's just not always possible. Last year he was seen as the winner when he came towards the finish with Gianni Bugno and André Schmil, and yet it wasn't to be. He was beaten in the sprint by a desperately sprinting Gianni Bugno. And this race has had more than its fair share of unusual winners as well. Jackie Giron 4 years ago, the great Frenchman now. But there'll be nothing unusual about Johan Museeuw. He started as a favourite and he's torn this field to pieces, and he's done it so well. Lower down the Bosberg. Baldato seems to be content now to follow the wheel of Schmill. It'll be an interesting sprint between these two if the chasers don't get on. And it looks to me now as though the lead is round about 40 seconds for Museeuw over the top of the Bosberg. And that should be enough. And I think driving that car was Eddy Merckx. And I'm sure Eddy will not have resisted the temptation to have wished him well there, because this is how Merckx won his Tour of Flanders. You ride the finest bike riders in the world off your wheel and you come down to Meerbeke alone. These are the other four: Skibby, Bartoli, Bortolami, Kipucci. Kipucci setting the pace with Bortolami. Skibby third place, Bartoli just at the back there. And they've got to be over a minute and a half down. Yekimov apparently is riding now with just Shiandri and equally over 2.5 minutes behind, so they're not going to come back. And Fondriest 2 has been dropped, reportedly 3.5 to 4 minutes behind. So clearly Maurizio wasn't having a good day today. Baldato leaving all of the pacemaking to Andre Schmill. And there's the Map 18 car now being allowed to go through, which means the gap is probably up to 1 minute. So Johan Museeuw is going to enjoy the next few minutes of the Tour of Flanders as he can now dream of winning it. You know, we actually sent Johan Museeuw one of our tapes last year, and reportedly he watched the tape only the day before this race. The idea being he wanted to see how he made mistakes against Gianni Bugno, I suppose. Well, there's no mistakes this time, because in fact he's gone clear of everybody. Turned professional back in 1988, no real indication of what a great rider he would become. He won only one race in 1988, but in the seasons 1990-91 he won a total of 22 races. .37 seconds, so it's not quite as far as I thought. Baldato to Schmill, 37 seconds behind Museeuw, and Baldato doing his share again. He's recovered a little bit. Last year he finished second, as we know, in the Tour of Flanders. He was third in Gent-Wevelgem. He won the Amstel Gold Race. He was second in the Zurich Championship. And now he's going to win the Tour of Flanders for the second time in 3 years. 2 wins will be added to his 2 second places. Jean-Luc Van den Broek shouting at Andre Schmill, and he's telling him in fact not to ride so hard and conserve himself for the second place, because in fact he's overcooking it as far as Baldato is concerned. He's following all of the time. So it looks as though defeat has been conceded here to this rider, Johan Museeuw, who looks as strong now as he did 3 hours ago. But that's what the smell of victory does for you in a big bike race like this. Johan Museeuw will sleep well tonight. Briefly held the lead in the Tour de France during the flatter stages, and lost it in the time trial as well, and he's not putting up a bad time trial here today. I once remember interviewing Johan Museeuw about where would he finish in the time trial, in the Tour de France when he had the yellow jersey, last man to start, and he says, "You will not be reading about me tomorrow morning." And he was right. He lost many minutes to Miguel Indurain. But every man for his own type of race, and the Tour of Flanders today is for Johan Museeuw. He's still nudging away, look, 46 seconds now. He's going to win this by a minute. Baldato made the winning move and couldn't maintain it on the Muir. And Schmil is doing the giant turns here. It's almost as if he can sense that Baldato is slowing down whenever he goes through. He's very conscious of the fact that round about 30 seconds behind is the Chiappucci group. Ease the old back a little bit, and it's out to 50 seconds now. So Museeuw is riding to a beautiful win. Former champion of Belgium. It would have been unusual and almost unthinkable to see a Belgian rider in the colours of an Italian team a few years ago, but cycling has spread its wings so far now, and even the Belgian people accept he can ride for an Italian team if he likes, but he's still very much a Belgian person. Former teammate of André Schmil on the Lotto squad. Didn't leave Lotto on too good terms, and now I wonder what Lotto are thinking. It's a big gap. The Tour of Flanders gap. Well, these last few years Edwin van Hooijdonk has been the mainstay with 2 victories for Belgium, and Museeuw with his previous victory. They've kept the flag flying for Belgians in this event. They've seen victories go to Moreno Argentine and Gianni Bugno of Italy and Jackie Durand France as well. They don't like losing this classic to any other country, just like the Italians don't like losing Milan San Remo to a Frenchman, which is what's already happened this year. When you get cheers like this in your ears, you simply can't slow down, can you? Somehow the pain seems all worthwhile. And a straight minute now. So he's continued to build. He's at 4 kilometres almost, and the 2 chasers are at 5. And Baldato doing his bit as well. And there's the 4 kilometres for Johan Museeuw. Just about 2.5 miles to the line, and he's going to enjoy it immensely. This has been a tremendous piece of riding by Museeuw. He may even say it's his finest victory. There's Eddy Merckx steering the car. Well, I don't suppose you're supposed to cheer the riders in the race when you're an official, but even so, we can forgive Eddy Merckx, because he's still a great enthusiast and recognises sheer class. And I would imagine that Eddie will be the first to congratulate Johan today. This is how you should win a bike race. Outstanding as the best man in it. What a difference a year makes. A dejected loser by almost a photo finish to Gianni Bugno. And if he hadn't have been, of course, he would have won his 3rd Tour of Flanders straight now. I don't think anybody's done that since Fiorenzo Magni of Italy did it. And that was back in the late 40s and early 1950. And I think Eddie's giving him a time check there in Flemish. But it's all academic because this man has won the Tour of Flanders in grand style. Those superb legs. And he's going to be in the last 2 kilometres in a second or two. And there's Eddie, a few words for Belgian television. And I wonder if at the moment Eddie Merckx is recounting his own victory in 1975 when he rode home ahead of Frans Verbeek and Marc de Meer. Belgium 1-2-3. That won't be the case today. Another 9 seconds added in the last kilometre. He'll be floating now. He won't be feeling a thing, Johan Museeuw. He's going to see the kilometre to go sign very soon. And Eddie taking part in the race himself now. He's probably just told him that 69-second margin we've just seen as well. And into Mia Baker. It'll be the right-hand turn. Well, this time last year, Museeuw was feeling he was the winner and had no idea that Gianni Bugna was going to put in a sprint like he did. There's the kilometre to go kite. This year he's not going to worry about whether he has a sprint or not. He's been so near in many of the world's classics. He's won some of them. Second in the Grand Prix of Frankfurt in 1991, second in the Tour of Flanders indeed in 1991. He won the Grand Prix of Zurich in that year. Third in Milan-San Remo in 1992, second in the Amstel Gold Race, the same year he won the National Belgian Championship. Then in 1993 the Tour of Flanders was his. Paris-Roubaix he managed a 4th place, 4th in the World Championship, then picked up Paris Tours, finished second in the World Cup. This man has done it all. Last year back into 2nd place in the Tour of Flanders, a 3rd in Ghent-Wevelgem, a win in the Amstel Gold for the first time, and 2nd in the Championship of Zurich, and now he's back in the biggest fashion you can imagine, with the ride of his life, I feel. Johan Museeuw taking the win in the Tour of Flanders, and he's won it in the grandest of styles. He ripped them apart, he joined Baldato, he tore him away on the Muir, and now he's won by over a minute here. He's going to rest very, very easily tonight, and he'll be the outstanding favourite now for next week's Paris-Roubaix. He doesn't look as though he's been out on the bike at all today, this man. An average speed of 39.5 kilometres an hour. It's only marginally slower than last year. 39.6 it was a year ago. Now the pace has dropped dramatically here, and this is because Andre Schmil is hoping to do better than last year when he finished 3rd. Baldato is making the turn, so Schmil has got himself in the right place at least, but he's done an awful lot of work. But Schmil is creeping up on his outside. Hardly the burst of a sprinter at 100 metres to go, was it? He moved over the top of him, and Baldato has got his wheel, and now you can see a better sprint because Baldato is going to take Andre Schmil right on the line. He's done just enough. Schmil will take 3rd for the 2nd year in succession. The sprint for 4th place, and this is Bartoli leading out. But Bartoli is not going to get it because I think Claudio Chiappucci is going to take him on the right, and Bortolami, Chiappucci on the right will get 4th. A good sprint by Claudio. Bortolami 5th, Jesper Skibby 6th, and Bartoli there coming in 7th place. And there's the face of the winner. Johan Museu. And in fact, he spotted his teammate here, Bortolami. Now let's go to Paul Sherwin.
Well, there you have it. What a fantastic result for this year's Tour of Flanders. We spoke to Johan Museu this morning in the start in St. Nicolas, but really he didn't give anything away. He must have been thinking all day in the back of his mind about last year when he got beaten here on the finish line by Gianni Bugno. That's probably what pushed him over the Mur de Grammont to go for that lone victory. A superb win. He's now at the top of the leaderboard in the World Cup. Will Paris-Roubaix be next? Join us and we'll find out then.
Indeed, he is at the top of the leaderboard in the World Cup because he finished 12th in Milan-San Remo, so he will go ahead of Laurent Jalabert. So a great win for Johan Museu. Of the 2 wins, he'll count this one more than the other in the Tour of Flanders. He's also got 2 second places as well. He really is the Lion of Flanders of the moment. So the 261 kilometres today were covered in 6 hours, 36 minutes and 24 seconds, an average speed of 39.5 kilometres an hour. Museu finishing a minute 27 seconds ahead of Baldato and Schmil, 2 minutes 3 seconds ahead of Chiappucci, Bortolami, Skibby and Bartoli, 3:25 ahead of Yakimov Shiandri, 3:28 over Ballerini, and Maurizio Fondriest taking the 12th place finish today. So this was a special race and I hope you've enjoyed it. Until the next time we meet, I'm Phil Liggett saying goodbye.